Okay, so this is Introduction to Generative AI and LLMs with Hugging Face. And specifically, we're going to look at the Hugging Face transformers. And you'll learn how to build transforms, and you'll learn, most importantly, you'll learn how to prompt engineer them. Just a little bit about me. I'm an old guy, been around for a while, got a bunch of degrees, got a bunch of certifications. I am an avid generative AI hacker. I typically participate in a hackathon every week. I've won a few, and it's always fun to win, but I've learned a tremendous amount. So once you're done with all the YouTube courses and all the Udemy courses, the best way to learn is to participate in hackathons. And I'm always in some type of lab a hackathon. I typically open them up for anyone to join. Today we're going to be doing Hugging Face Transformers. That's July 5th. And then on July 12th, we're going to be doing Getting Started with TensorFlow. So I got 10 nice hands-on examples we're going to be running, and you should enjoy that. We did one with PyTorch, once again, completely prompt engineered. And then we got Nevada coming up, the CUDA for July 20th. Let's start with our icebreaker. What unique human quality do you believe AI will never fully replicate, and why? So you guys feel free to put something in the text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and why? Intuition and gut feeling, humor and wit, cultural and historical understanding, philosophical and existential thinking, artistic expressions and aesthetic appreciation, or spirituality and faith. Which one of the 6 do you believe that AI will never be able to replace? Let me go ahead and get the chat up here so I can see you guys. All right, we are definitely in what I would call the AI arms race. That's for sure. And contractors, officials, companies, cloud providers are pouring billions into AI. That is for sure. And it's unbelievable how much is being poured into this right now and how much activity is going on in this area. It's like the new electricity. And it's actually gotten where it can actually capture our reasoning, which is something we didn't expect. We used to just do classification. They were classification systems. Now they're thinking systems. You can ask them, what's your reasoning behind that? And they'll tell you. If you want to really get good at prompt engineering, I like this diagram here. They think like people think. In a sense, if you give it a goal, and you ask it for an algorithm behind that goal or recipe, and then you ask it to grind through that recipe, and you give it a format to follow, that's a really good thing to keep in mind when you're creating and running prompts. Now, my prompts today will be pretty short. The stuff we're going to create is going to be pretty nice, but it's going to be done with just very short prompts, so you got to be impressed. Just one of the things about generative AI, what kind of efficiencies do you expect with generative AI? I say up to 10,000%. NASA has even measured this with some of their projects where they used to take so many hours, and by using generative AI to measure ice cap melt, for example, they've gotten a 10,000% efficiency. Here's an example of Denton's, one of the largest law firms in the world. It used to take their lawyers like 4 hours to comb through documents to prepare for a brief. Now, with putting it all in a vector database, they can do that same prep in about 5 minutes and not exhausted at the end of the day, right? So you're looking at a 5,000% efficiency just there. So efficiencies are pretty high, and we are entering what I call the year of devices. And if you see what Microsoft's releasing now, it has a CPU, it has a GPU, and now it has an NPU, a neural processing unit, right on your computer. This is a Surface Pad, and it processes 40 trillion matrix calculations a second. Pretty fast. And that way you don't have to go in the cloud and do your AI. You can do your AI on your machine, and so your PII data is protected. So that's the philosophy behind that. We'll move on. Today's presentation, we'll be talking about an overview of Hugging Face. We'll talk about transformers with Python. We'll do some prompt engineering using Streamlit, and we'll talk about what Streamlit is. Then we'll do transformers in JavaScript. And then we've got a couple of exercises for you guys to work on. And I'll briefly mention AutoTrain. It's getting easier and easier to train models, and AutoTrain is one of those abilities to do so. Hey, RA, what do you have? RA has a question.
Question on the NPU is that that's still in its experimental stage, is it not?
Oh no, they're selling that Copilot computer on Amazon right now. However, I want to say it's got some terrible ratings. So I'm glad I didn't buy it. I was all hipped on buying it, and it's starting to get like 2s. And if something's getting a 2, you don't buy it.
Gotcha.
So it's typical of Microsoft's first products, and they get better. So I'm sure any bugs or performance issues they'll fix. And
just a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
I think the cost of fine-tuning, etc., is through the roof right now. Do you envision a scenario or a time when that cost can scale down considerably?
Yeah, this is a really good question. They said to meet their AI goals, they have to double the power output of the United States. So it's not green friendly, that's for sure.
That's
Uh,
true. Yeah.
yeah, I think that what happens is as we move forward, we're figuring out stuff we didn't know. And so I think that the type of systems we're building will change. The mathematics behind it will change, which will make it more efficient as we discover more stuff. And as you build stuff, you can do more with it. For example, I did a hackathon this weekend where I was able to project something in a two-dimensional space that was from multi-dimensions to two. But I was able to do it because someone had built a model for tokenizing that I could use. So as some of these models are built, it makes some of our processes easier and we can do more and more thinkers get involved and they figure out how to do things more easily. So I think there's a yes and no there, depending on how you approach the problem. But I got to tell you that right now there's companies making wafers that are $1 million a piece. So they're really putting a lot of money into these systems. So I think the expense is going to be pretty huge in the next 5 years, regardless however you look at it. So a little bit about Hugging Face. The Hugging Face Hub is a platform that has over 751K thousand models, 174,000 data sets, and over 150,000 demo spaces. 182 of those are mine. And it's open source and publicly available. So you can actually sign up for Hugging Face for free. Now I paid $10 a month for some little extras, but I don't have to. So you can actually get a free account on Hugging Face. And that allows you to put your models out there for everyone to see, put them out publicly, and people can actually access the code, or you can keep it private. And we'll look at that today. The hub works as a central place where anyone can explore, experiment, collaborate, and build technology with machine learning. So one of the goals here is pretty noble. Microsoft has the same goal, is to democratize technology. So anyone can use this, anyone in the world. So that's one of the goals behind this technology. With that said, when you go to the Hugging Face Hub, you'll see models, you'll see data sets, and you see spaces, but there's also transformers. I'll show you how to pull those out through searching. Here's one of the things I got first started using Hugging Face for was actually my own experiments, and I really love the fact that they had these databases that you could host your websites fairly rapidly. And when I do a lot of hackathon competitions, so I'm always putting stuff in hackathons. So if you want to visit my Hugging Face, you can go there. A lot of that is open for everyone. So if you want to go there and visit and actually look at some of my code, it's open to look at. So we're going to go there right now, and I'm going to actually show you some of the stuff on Hugging Face that is, I think, of great importance. So the reason I don't have full screen here is because we're going to be going back and forth. So I'm going to ask you if you can see certain things. So when I bring up different slides. So let me bring up a browser, and we're actually going to go to Hugging Face. All right. Actually, yes. And then we're going to talk about it just a little bit. So if you look at Hugging Face, look up at the top here, you see models, datasets, spaces, posts, docs, solutions, pricing. So if you go to models right now, you're going to see, let's click on that. You can see there's 751,000 models. And these models are multimodal, computer vision, natural language processing, audio, tabular. I mean, just so many different categories of models that you can use. And so you can come here and maybe I want to do a sentiment analysis. I can just kind of start searching for a model. So let's say text, and there's some text models right there. And if I hit natural language processor, we might want to do text classification. And when I'm in text classification, I come here and go to libraries. And here's where it's kind of buried. See, it says transformers. So I'm going to click on transformers, and that gives me all the different models that I can use with a transformer. And that's 62,000 models that I can use for transformers. So that's a lot of models. And when I come along here, if I click on one of these models, and I can come over here to a use this model, and click on the transformer. It gives me the code to build the transformer. Now that is enough for me to prompt engineer an entire program. Okay, and I'm going to show you today how you can prompt engineer an entire program from just this small amount of code. So that said, that's Hugging Face, and along with that, there's data sets which we won't use today, and there's also spaces which we will use. So I'm going to go back to mine and show you my spaces and show you what you're typically going to do when you build a program in Hugging Face. So you come along here and you go to spaces, and what you'll do is you'll just go create a new space. And you'll give it a name. I'll just call this test space for now. And you have the ability to select a Streamlit, a Gradio, a Docker, or a static. Now, Streamlit and Gradio, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but Streamlit and Gradio are actually interfaces that you can put on right on Python. And it'll create a user interface that you can interact with on the web. So if you've ever worked with some of the other trying to get Python to work on the web. It can be a lot of work, but with Streamlit and Gradio, it makes it pretty fast. Now, it turns out that Streamlit has been purchased by Snowflake, and Gradio has been purchased by Hugging Face. And Hugging Face just released a free GPU that works with Gradio, which is pretty nice. But with that said, you can also do Docker. And if you're familiar with Docker, you understand containerization. Also a static. That's where you're going to put your static website. So we'll be working with this today. And along with this, you can use public or private. So if you don't want people to see your work, you click it private. If you do, you click public. And when it's public, then they can actually go to your spaces and look at your code. So if you go back to my website and you go to exercise transform, for example, if you come up to files, there's a question answering bot. It'll be one of our exercises today. If you go to files, you can click on app and you see my code. Okay, so all the code is there for you guys to look at and see. All of this, of course, was prompt engineered.
Mike, question on
Yeah.
the models that you're going to use. Some of us have not signed up for ChatGPT or anything else, right? We're
Yep.
still using the free version.
Yep.
Is it possible that what you're going to do today is can be done using those free avenues?
Oh, use Claude AI. It's free.
Perfect.
Yeah, Claude AI is free. And Claude AI is like it's neck to neck with ChatGPT-O. Okay. Additionally, it turns out that Hugging Face has an assistance. So you can actually go in there and go in their assistants and build your own chat systems. So just like you can build a custom GPT, you can do the same thing in Hugging Face. But use Claude AI. We're going to use it today. And when we get to Transformers JS, I'm going to show you something amazing. Okay. Well, let's move on. Now, I'll just talk a little bit about my work for it. I do a lot of hackathons, and I developed something called the 5 C's. The first one has to do with communication. You got to get that communication line right. So you're on LinkedIn or you're on Discord. And the next one is concepts. And that has turned out to be the most important. Because now that you can prompt engineer everything, you really spend a lot more time thinking about concepts and how things fit together. And then what you do is once you get all those concepts right, then you start just building components. Now, everything you can do and how does it all fit together and what can you make? And then once you do that, you start integrating everything. That's the next C is components, configuration. And then once you get configuration, you want to move toward your completion. That's kind of the 5 C's. And pretty much right now, I'm prompt engineering everything I do. And you're going to see some of it today, a good dose of it. And I spend just most of my time just thinking, what fits together? How's it work? All right, so we looked at Hugging Face and we looked at the different models. And so let's go ahead and get started with an example. And we'll start prompt engineering right away. And the first thing I want to do, well, what the heck is it? So as opposed to me going and reading documents or watching YouTube videos, I'm now pulling knowledge. I'm just asking the system, well, what is it? How does it work? So I'll start with ChatGPT, but we'll be moving to Claude today. So don't be afraid. So use Claude instead. But I said use ChatGPT or Claude. But what I'm going to ask it here, what is a transformer? Now, the Hugging Face Transformer library provides an easy interface for loading and using pre-trained transformer models. This is going to change your life. You don't have to run to OpenAI or any of these other systems and pay. You can actually use the models in Hugging Face, which are free. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this first prompt in and say, what is a Hugging Face transformer, and provide some simple usage. So let's go bring up ChatGPT and do that. And you can do that in Claude if you want to. So if you go to Claude AI, you can go there and do the same thing. It's free. Or I'll start with ChatGPT if you don't mind. And I'm going to put that prompt in there and I'm going to start asking it questions. So since I'm pulling knowledge, I'm not going out and having it pushed on me, not watching a video, not listening to an audio, just having, pulling like investigative work. And so it's going to tell me what a transformer is and gives me a nice example. Give me some installation, and it's going to give me some simple code. And it's giving me the sentiment analysis code. Okay, so it's a simple sentiment analysis. So let's examine that sentiment analysis and see how it's working. So the way it's working is it's through the transformer file, it's pulling something called a pipeline. And so you can take that pipeline and put sentiment analysis in there, and it will pull the default sentiment analysis model. And once you have that, you've given it the name sentiment analysis pipeline, and you can take that sentiment analysis pipeline and put anything you want in it, and it'll do a sentiment analysis on it. But that is just kind of like something you might run in a Jupyter notebook. I want to build an application that I can have an input and I can have an output. So let's see how I might do that. So in the next slide, we talked about Streamlit just a little bit because we're going to build a Streamlit interface. We're going to put it on top of this Python. So Streamlit and Gradio, they're open source Python libraries that simplify the process of creating and sharing custom web applications. So that Python you're writing immediately becomes accessible through the web using a Streamlit or Gradio interface. With that said, we're going to go to our next prompt. And what we're going to say is we're going to say prompt number 2, put a Streamlit interface on this code and provide an input and output. So let's do that. So it gave me this code. It was just a simple example. So let's put some Streamlit on it. All right. What is it? What? Not the wrong. Don't put the wrong prompt in there. Let me get the prompt. Sorry. Go back. Copy that. All right. And now I'm going to put that in there. And what it's going to do, it's going to write that Streamlit interface for me. There you go. And you're going to see it's going to create an input for me. And it's going to create an output. Now, with every Streamlit program, there's a requirements file. And a requirements file is a file that downloads the packages that you need to run this. So I'm also going to ask it what goes into the requirements file. And when I do that, it's going to give that back to me. And it wants Streamlit, transformers, and torch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this code that I just prompt engineered, and hopefully the demo will work well. It worked before it worked. And I'm going to come over and just do copy code, and I'm going to build this in Hugging Face and see if it works. So let's go to Hugging Face. And I will be releasing this video. So guys, if you want to see it again, just go watch the video. So I'm going to go to Hugging Face. And then I'm going to go create a new space. Spaces. I'm going to go, okay, create a new space. And what do you guys want to call it? Give me a name. What? Sentiment program. And then I'm not going to choose a license. I'm going to choose a Streamlit interface. I'm going to choose the free CPU. And I'm going to let it be public so you guys can see it. Then I'm going to create that space. Now I've created space, and there's 2 files that I want. I want a file that's an app file. So I say add file, and that's going to be my Python file, app.py, and I'll paste my code in there. And when I paste my code in there, then I'm going to do a main or commit, and that commits my code to their repository. And then I'm going to create a requirements file. So I go to files, and I go add file. I create another file. I call it requirements. Requirements.txt. And remember, what do we need? We need Streamlit. We need transformers. And we need torch. That's PyTorch. And we hit main. And if everything goes right, it'll run. And if it doesn't run, I take the error and I feed it back into ChatGPT and I say, fix it. No module name transformers. So I've spelled something wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to files, and I'm going to go to requirements. So I messed something up here. And let me do this. Let me come here to this right here. Let me just copy this code. Let me go back here. Let's paste it in. I just think I did something wrong. And now let me try it again. And if I get the same error, I'll just feed the error back. When I get an error like that, it typically has to do with the requirements file. All right, let's see if we can get it started up. There you go, something's happening. So that's the interface right there. That's good. And it's restarting, so it's not completely there yet. So we'll see if it works. So what I was saying is this weekend I was actually coding with Claude AI, which is now Sonnet 3.5, and I was coding with ChatGPT. And Claude AI was actually doing a better job of creating code, but ChatGPT was doing a better job of debugging the code. And I noticed today that Claude is now debugging the code better. So when we release these models, they just don't release them out in the wild, and they don't work. They continually working on these things and improving them as rapidly as they can. With that said, we'll go ahead and see if we can get this running. I can come back to this in a moment. We'll see if it runs for us. Let's continue with the presentation and we'll come back and check this code. But you get the idea. I just prompt engineered all that. I had a little bit of information and I just kind of told it what I want and I continued rolling. So that said, the next thing I want to do is say, how did you know which model to use? So if you notice, let me go back to the code, see if it's running now. Well, it's taking a long time to render. Now, if you're having problems rendering, you can go to a higher CPU. So let's do that real quick. Now, when you go to the higher CPU, for this example, you're going to pay for this. So this is 3 cents an hour. So many times when I'm working on a hackathon, if it's too slow, then I'm more than willing to pay that 3 cents an hour to speed it up. Now you watch the next level up is 40 cents an hour. So you're getting into your GPUs right there. Or that's still a CPU. But as you move up into your GPUs, you can see the price goes up significantly. All right, so you want to watch those dollars, especially when you're working with these cloud systems at all. When working with cloud systems, I've woken up in the morning many times and found a $500 bill. So you got to make sure you watch your money. Now it's restarting on the upgrade, so it should be a little bit faster. I think I may have to. Why this is building, I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Let me go to an example that is working of what I just did. So we don't spend too much time on this. Let's see here. Here's a sentiment analysis. This is an example of the code running, and I actually built this system right here. And let's put something in it. Say, I love candy. What is the sentiment analysis? And this was all prompt engineered. And it said, well, that was positive. Okay, I can put in here what it did for me. I actually prompt engineered where I can put multiple things in there. So let's go ahead and put multiple things in here. Someone give me some ideas to put in here. What would you like to put in here?
I love my job.
I love my job. Anyone got a negative?
And I hate licorice.
I hate nasty candy. Okay. Not gonna anyone got another one? I hate saying I love AI. Okay. Thanks, Lauren. Here it is. I often get lost when hiking in the woods. Okay. Okay, here I welcome my AI overlords. Who said that? Sin. Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to run all those, and what it will do is going to actually basically analyze all of them for us. So look at that. So it gave all the analysis for us. So I love my job, positive. I hate nasty candy, negative. I hate saying I love AI, negative. I often get lost in the woods, negative. I welcome my positive. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right, let's keep going. That's good. So one of the things it's doing, it automatically chose this model for me, and I'm looking at the code. Well, and if you look at the code, it actually basically the way the code works is you have your transformer, you have your pipeline, and then you got your pipeline. You set it to sentiment analysis, which is pulling a sentiment analysis model. We call that model classifier, and whatever we put in classifier gets classified. So how did it know which model? Because there's like hundreds of models to choose from. And so what you can do is you can just ask ChatGPT that question. So if you take a look at my slide, what I do is I say, well, did I know which model to use? So that's your next prompt. So as opposed to going to Stack Overflow or all these different places to find information, you just do it here. And then you can rapidly begin to analyze or build up systems this way. And it's going to tell me that basically Hugging Face has a default model that is going to pull. All right. There's your default model right there. And it's actually going to show you if you don't want to pull the default model, what you can do is from Hugging Face, you can give it the model name. We'll stop this, for example, because it's actually showing you code on how to pull in the model name. And you can see in this example right here, it's saying, well, if you don't want to pull the default model, then you can give the model name. This would be very important when it comes to sentiment analysis, when it comes to business analysis, because many times it's very subtle what the sentiment is when it has to do with business or if you're watching a financial chat room. So there's actually sentiment analysis models out there that actually are very good or tuned to watching financial analysis rooms. And what people are doing with that, they're investing. So they'll have several indicators, and one will be a chat room. And if it's on that particular stock, if it's positive about that in that chat room, they'll buy. If not, they won't. So they're using these models in that way. Okay, with that said, let's continue with that. I just want to give you another example. I'm going to go to the next one. Let's see, if you want to use a specific model, then you can basically name that model, and that's what we just showed. And so what you're seeing here is if you have a problem with code and you don't understand it, then just say explain the code. So I can go back to ChatGPT, and maybe there's some code out there I didn't understand, so I can just say explain this code. And then as opposed to like running to a textbook or watching a video, it's going to step through step by step and explain what each line of that code is doing and why. And if it hasn't done enough explanation on one line, go to that specific line and say, explain more and show me an example how to use it even more. So now you're actually, it's like you're working with a person with an IQ of 200 that can code like crazy. And you can just, begin to work with it, understand it, and you can actually rapidly come up to speed on topics using this approach. Okay. So more than transformers, this is also an approach to programming. All right, with that said, we'll go to the next piece here and we'll continue on. So I'm going to move on and talk about Transformers JS. So we talked about Streamlit interface, we talked about the Gradle interface, and that all sticks on Python. But what if you have a web page and you actually want to put these transformers into a web page? And what's amazing about this is you can download these models from the internet, from Hugging Face, and there's one download, and once they're in the memory, they operate with the web page. So you can actually incorporate these models into your web pages. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go right here, and I'm going to say explain Transformers JS, kind of the same approach, and give me a simple HTML and JavaScript example. And I'm about to show you something that's going to blow you away. So here, get your Claude out. So we're going to do this in Claude. Let me go ahead and put this prompt in the window if you guys want to follow along. And you're just going to be blown away. So what I'm going to say here is explain what Transformers JS is, and using simple HTML and JavaScript, give a simple sentiment analysis example. So let's bring up Claude. Yes, this is going to my workflow just got faster, and you're about to see why. All right, so they're giving Claude AI away for free right now, and basically it'll limit you on usage. I actually purchased it after this weekend. I went, oh God, I got to buy this. So here we go. So let's see what happens. So it's going to explain to me what Transformer JS is. It's pretty much the same as the other Transformer is, but it doesn't run in Python. It runs in JavaScript and it downloads to the web. It's going to give me a simple example of it, but then what is it going to do? It's going to render it for me. Yes! I have been waiting for this forever. I can now interactively, not just code, but render the interface. And that's pretty amazing. Now, if I hit analyze, it says an error with transformers not defined. That's fine. So let's just take that error and put it in here and say fix error. All right, good. So it's saying it has another uncaught error. So you can go ahead and put that error back in there. And once again, feed those errors in once you get them. Now, sometimes what happens is if you keep getting an error, you need to back out and try the prompt again, right? And basically what can happen is these systems can get caught on what's called a polytope. And so they they'll buckle down. They won't let go. They'll keep believing they're right. So sometimes you have to go back, say it again, or rephrase it another way, and it will build it for you correctly. Let's try this. Let's see if we change the prompt a little bit and get it to do what we want it to do. And we got enough time to finish everything up. What I'm going to say, I'm going to change this prompt just a little bit. And I'm going to say, and provide input and output. And pay attention to pipeline and transformers. All right, let's try that. All right, looks like it worked that time. So I just kicked it a little bit. So gave it a little bit more explanation of what I want. Now this may not actually work here because I'm not in Hugging Face. So now I want to take this so it's initializing the pipeline. This is all really, really good. So here we can come down here. You can download the code as a file, or you can copy it. So let's copy it. Let's take this right into Hugging Face and let's see if we can create this program and get it to work. Like once I said, you know how live demos are, right? So hopefully everything will go well. And then I'm going to go right to static. And I'm going to scroll down and I'll make it public so you guys can see it. I'll hit create space. And what it does, it creates an index file. And so I want to go in and edit that index file and basically just paste this in. There you go. And we'll see. Now, what I really like about this is literally no render time. So you hit main, and there you go, apps running. And there's my sentiment analysis, and I love using transformers for NPU. Let's hit that. Pipeline. So it's initializing. So what it's doing is downloading the model into the web page. And once that's downloaded, it doesn't have to download again. So it just downloads it the first time. So sometimes what you might do as a web programmer, if you're going to use transforms in your web page, people are looking at the page, and while they're looking at it, you have this back-end process that's loading the model. They're not aware of it. Okay, it's initializing. Please wait. Okay.
And where is loading? Is loading in the people's browsers or is loading in server side?
Right in the memory. Yeah.
So
Right.
it never gets saved to disk then. Is that
Nope.
correct?
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. It is in memory, so you can actually process this, and it's not being sent back to Hugging Face. All right, we are going to move on, but you guys saw the process, and it's still initializing the model. It's a big model, so it's going to download it, so it might take a little while. I want to make sure we get through everything today, but you guys kind of saw that. You saw that, so I want to get to exercises. Give you guys an exercise to work on. And so this was actually the final product. I have this up and running in the web, and so the sentiment analysis was running well and doing a great job I like the JS because it just renders right away. I don't have to wait for it. And then you have to download the model, of course. That takes a little bit of time. All right. So kind of once again, I want to compare, what's happening on the Python side versus the JavaScript side. And you're going to see some of the same language. What you're doing, though, is you're importing a NPN package that has the transformers in it. And that transformers pipeline pretty much is doing almost the same thing, pulling in the sentiment analysis model, which you're naming pipeline, and you're using that pipeline to analyze your content. So here's a comparison of the Python versus the JavaScript. So in Python, you say from transformers import pipeline. In JavaScript, you say import, and you got these little curly brackets pipeline, and you bring in that NPN package. Then below that, you have your pipe. That's going to be what you're defining as your classifier is pipeline, sentiment analysis. You have let pipe await. So the await is the JavaScript, which waits for it to download. And once it downloads, then you have out pipe. Pipe will analyze I love transformers. And await pipe, once again, that await function to wait for it to process. It's an asynchronous process. I love transformers. So that's the difference between Python and JavaScript. All right, guys, here's your first exercise. Let's see if you can do this for me. I'm going to put this in the chat. Now, I'm going to say that in the old days, it might take me quite a bit of time to program this. How do you think you might program this?
Can you copy paste, please, the 3 prompts to do this?
Just take it into ChatGPT or in Claude, right? And you just paste it. Let's do that. You get an A+. All right, let me see if I can pull my browser up here. I lost my browser. I got so excited I lost my browser. Let's try this. So I'm just going to put it in there, and there you go. It's going to, and let's run that. There you go. Okay, so I made this a little bit simpler just because I didn't want to get into the auto tokenizer. That's not really part of this discussion. So what I did here, you can see how I'm kicking the prompts a little bit, and I can kick it in one direction or the other. So you imagine that you're in a multidimensional space and you put a vector out there, and there's a neighborhood around that vector. And so you can kick it to different places in that to different places as long as it's a small change. And so I made that small change, and it gave me the question and answer, which is the Distilbert base use case. So that's one that I know. That's the model that I'm going to run. And so that's the first part of the code. But I want a Streamlit interface on it. So what would I do next, guys?
Just have a prompt that says put a Streamlit interface.
Absolutely.
Above, right?
You're right. Put a Streamlit interface on it.
There you go.
Corresponding inputs and outputs. So let me go ahead and put that in there for you guys. So you can see that. Yeah. This is great. Man, this is unbelievable. I mean, if you told me you could do something like this a year and a half ago, I would go, you're nuts. This is never going to happen. And this is like unbelievable. So you take that prompt and you put that in there and you put the Streamlit interface on it. All right. And run it. And it's going to build an interface on it right now. And most of the time this runs out of the box. Now, if it's not running out of the box, then what you want to do is you just feed the error back. And most of the time it will fix it. And there's my Streamlit interface. Now, we're going to copy this. I want you guys to copy this. We won't run it for now because there's not enough time. We've got about 9 minutes here. But what we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go to the next exercise. We're going to use this for the next exercise. All right. So the next exercise is, so that's what that looks like with the Streamlit interface. And I already ran it. So if you go to my Hugging Face, you'll find a question and answer bot where you can see it's running fine. But the next one is what I want to do is create the Transforms JS version. What do you think I would do to create the Transform JS version? Do I go in there and recode everything line by line and do I do that? How do I create the JS version?
Just ask you to do it.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. You get an A+. So basically it says convert the Transform JS using simple HTML and JavaScript and paste so you want to paste the code in. So lots of times you'll do something like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Claude now. Do you know why I'm going to Claude? Because I want to see the interface, right? So if I'm just doing simple JavaScript and HTML, it's going to build the interface out of me. So I can paste that code in there. And at the top of that, I'm going to put that prompt in there. Bring down.
Now, I do have a quick question. When you're converting the Python to Java, do you put
JavaScript.
JavaScript, sorry about that. Do you also put in the version that you want to use? You would say, does Claude...
You could do that. Yes, you could do that. You could absolutely do that.
Yeah, but I mean, I can do that, but is it useful?
It's very useful when you're doing requirement files to actually set the imports to a certain version. And the reason being is you'll see over a period of time they'll break. Because when someone does an update and if there's a certain piece that's not there anymore, your code will break. All code breaks. So many times what you want to do, and I didn't show that, but when you create a requirements file, you want to make sure you're setting version if you want that code to continue to work. Because you'll see some of my Hugging Face code out there broke because I didn't set versions on the import files. All right, with that said, let's run it.
That's who?
I said, with that said, I'm going to run the code. Did you have any more questions, Ray? That was a good question.
No, I did not.
Good. And so now it's going to build that out for me, and then it's going to give me an interface. Oh, how lovely. This is just fantastic. And this is just going to get better, right? They're just going to keep adding to this. So we won't go through this exercise and get that up on the web, but you could grab that code or preview that code, go up and do an index, and you can build that out in Hugging Face. And let's see, we've got about 6 more minutes. Let's go ahead and wrap everything up here. And with that said, I actually built this out and this is what it looked like. I think we have enough time to build it. Let's see if it works. Okay. We do have enough time. So let's go ahead and copy this code and we'll do a clipboard copy. I got to get one of these to run so you guys will believe that I'm legit. So let's go to Hugging Face. And once again, go to Spaces. And I'll just call it anything. Yeah, I just keep building. So I don't care. It doesn't care how many applications I build. So I just keep building. And I go, well, okay, bot app. I'm not really sure what it's doing, but let's go to static. Then we'll go to blank, and then we'll go down here to public, and we'll create a space. I'll have to go make sure I clean these up after this. And it creates that index for me. So let's go to that index file, and I'm going to go ahead and edit that file, and let's put this code in. And then let's go ahead and save it, and hopefully it'll run. If it runs, this has been a great session. And see, it's running right away. So I love the JS because it runs right away. And there's my question and answer. So what this is about is in this particular code, what they're doing is you're pasting content in there and you're asking a question about that content. So I actually have some content here in the previous, I believe in the previous code right here. It's about Apollo 11. So I'll grab this content right here and we'll paste this content in here. and we'll ask it a question about the content. That's what the question answer bot does. It says, who stayed on the lunar module? So it talks about, the guys walking on the moon, and 2 of the guys walked on the moon, and 1 of the guys stayed in the lunar module. And it's asking you, got a little content here, which guy was that? And we'll go ahead and put that in there and see if it runs. Right. And an error occurred. So I would have to go in there and now debug that error. And so what I would do, I would go ahead and just take that and say, go back right into Claude and say, I got an error. Can you fix it? Got an error. Can you fix it? Now, this is an example where probably ChatGPT might win over Claude. So let's take a see it, and we'll go ahead and put that in there. And we've got 4 minutes. And it's going to re-examine the code and see if it left anything out. And it's telling me what it did to fix the code. And we're going to run it 1 time. And if not, I'll show you the fixed version of it, the one I have running. And we're going to try this anyway. And you see, guys, how you're so fearless because you have these systems backing you up. And you can go in here, and what you do now, you're not learning. You know how you typically learn? You get all these tutorials and you listen and listen, and then you try and try. Here you just start coding. It's just a complete opposite of what we usually do to learn material like this. And it says it got an error initializing. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the running version that I got running. And the more you do this, the better you are at it. So don't be discouraged by any errors that you saw today, because this is part of it. And so I believe the one that I got running, there's my here. It says, who stayed on the lunar module? And you click on that, and it says it was Michael Collins. So that's the working version of that. And all that, once again, was prompt engineered by me. And not a single line of code was written by me. So there you have it. And that's pretty much the presentation today. There's just one more thing as we go through. And those are exercises for you to see how incredibly easy this is. And that's AutoTrain. So it's getting easier and easier to train these models. And one of these is AutoTrain, and is part of the Hugging Face ecosphere. And there's a nice YouTube video for you guys to watch if you want to learn how to train your own models. And it's just, and it can, depending on how much you're training, there can be an expense associated with. I believe you can do it for free, but if you go over the free version, it can cost you about $10 to train a model. And depending on how big it is and how many parameters that you're using. So that's pretty much today's presentation. We made it right on the money. We got with that 2 minutes to spare. If you want to learn about AutoTrain, there it is. And I'm here. I'm open for questions, guys.